Welcome to Hatfield Marine Science Center, probably one of the most dynamic marine science centers in the country. My name is Yi-Chung Chung. I'm the Academic Programs Manager here at the Marine Science Center, and I'm here to welcome you and talk about some of the academic programs that we have here at OSU's Hatfield Marine Science Center. And I say that because the Marine Science Center is Oregon State's Marine Science Center, and as OSU students, this is your Marine Science Center. So I really want to encourage everyone to come out and check out what we have going on here. And today what you're going to see is everything from the visitor center, the education wing, and our teaching labs, our classrooms, the hallways of where some of the research happens, some of the research posters, our Gwynn Library, our housing, and our new Marine Studies building. In addition to all those, on this 49-acre campus, the Hatfield campus, we have several government agencies here, federal and state. We have everything from NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and within that we have three divisions: the Alaska Fisheries Science Center, the Northwest Fisheries Science Center, and the Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory. In addition to those, we also have U.S. Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Research Service, and their focus will be on aquaculture and particularly looking at our estuaries and oyster beds and how to manage that. Other areas are the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and their focus is looking at the changes and dynamics in this estuary environment up and down the coast. And we also have the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife, and their focus is on all the wildlife refuges up and down the coast here. Following that, we also have one of our state agencies co-located here on this campus, and that's the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And with that, we also have their Marine Reserves program and their Fisheries Resource Management program. So we've got a lot of different entities here that provide a rich opportunity for our undergraduates and our graduate students, our summer session students, our fall students, our winter students, our spring students, as well as our interns. So welcome. Here we are in the main lobby of the Marine Science Center. And in here we have down the hall, the director's office. Right here we have our staff lounge, staff and student lounge, where a lot of us gather. The Hatfield Student Organization, which is our student organization on campus here, hosts a coffee and donut break every Wednesday morning from 10 to 10:30, which brings together not only all the students and staff and faculty that are within OSU, but also all these government agencies that are co-located here that I mentioned before. So let's walk down this way. Over here on the left, we have basically a history of the Marine Science Center from 1964 to now. As we walk down the east wing of the Marine Science Center, you'll notice a lot of the images of the photographs of campus from bird's eye view. Here's one of 2012. Right now we're outside outside the Marine Science Center. We're in front of the Marine Science Center. And looking behind me, you'll see to your right, you'll see a small little building at the end of a dock. There's a small one and then there's a little bit larger one, and that is our pump house. That's our seawater pump house. That pump house pumps and supports this entire campus facility. So it provides seawater not only for all of the OSU research and teaching labs, but also our visitor center and our west wing, which holds a lot of our aquaria, flora and fauna of our aquaria. And in addition to that, it supports the USDA, EPA, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and NOAA research labs that have running seawater in them with live animals. To your left, you'll see several research vessels. Those research vessels, two of them belong to Oregon State University and are managed by our ship operations. Those two vessels are the Oceanus, which is 177 feet, which is the large vessel with the black and orange smokestacks. And then there's a smaller vessel, the Alaka. The Alaka is 65 feet, I believe, and is actually named its Chinook for sea otter. So I also want to point out several buildings on the campus here. So behind me, you'll see two NOAA buildings. There's actually three NOAA buildings on site. This first one right behind me here is the Newport Aquaculture Laboratory. And in there we have facilities for raising oysters as well as other aquaculture species. So you may have heard of the bacon seaweed, which is a red seaweed, dulse, that is being produced and grown in the facilities right behind me, alongside oysters that are also part of a larger aquaculture research focus on the Oregon coast. And then right over here to the far left, we have the Barry Fisher building. This is the newest NOAA building on site that houses everything from our fisheries management group, our NOAA observer program and training, to where we have our fish cutting party, which is really a large event that incorporates a lot of our students and our interns in the summer to participate in NOAA-focused dissections of salmonids for a larger salmon research project that's happening within the NOAA Northwest Fisheries Science Center. Here in the hallway in the east wing here, we have the Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station. So OSU, as a land grant institution, provides extension stations in all the different counties of Oregon. And they really focus on providing research to the public, in particular the ag public, or folks who did agricultural work out in the rural areas. What I'd like to point out here is that we have an experiment station that is specifically focused around marine resources, which is this Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station. And what they encompass is they go and look at everything from basic marine ecology, pinniped ecology, cetacean conservation genetics, but also looking at the conservation, the aquaculture piece, raising our seafood, to how do you manage these marine resources from an economic and marketing perspective, to developing safety standards around seafood microbiology and safety, and then developing new seafood products in seafood science, and in this case, surimi education. And if you've never heard of surimi, think of crab with a K. So imitation crab meat, which is made from generally whiting, or a fish species that has now been turned into crab with a K, but we have also researchers up in Astoria in our OSU Seafood Science Center that's creating surimi pasta, surimi pizza crust, as well as other surimi products. So think about that from the perspective of being gluten-free or wanting to increase your protein intake. You're looking at having a pizza that is completely protein with no carbs, or a pasta that's completely protein with no carbs. So these are some of the things that the Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station focuses on. So we're gonna walk down this hallway and I'll show you our east wing. So in here we have a lot of facilities focused around molecular genetics, folks who are doing fisheries genetics work, marine mammal genetic work. So all of these labs are plumbed for seawater. One of the things that I love walking down this hallway is checking out the deep freezer. So come around on this side here and I'll show you. So typically, when I bring students through the Marine Science Center, I like to take a peek in here, because as the Marine Science Center and the kind of location for the marine mammal stranding network, or essentially anything that ends up being stranded on the beach, we are usually the first ones to hear about it. And because of that, we've got lots of freezers that hold basically a lot of dead things. So if you look through here, you'll see many containers of various research samples. So some of the things that we end up receiving are pinnipeds, so seals and sea lions. Occasionally we will get salmon sharks. We've gotten a thresher shark. We've gotten skates. We've gotten pretty much an assortment of all kinds of organisms that wash up on our shore. And because of that, and because of our capability of holding that stuff, we can utilize some of that for our research purposes as well as our teaching purposes. And so our students get access to some of this really unique experience. We're behind the education wing here outside, right in front of the experimental seawater facility. And I want to point out that we have a number of seawater tables over there that we've had researchers, students, faculty utilize for experiments throughout the year. And over here, I want to show you the inside of the experimental seawater facility. All this piping is for seawater, so this allows any of our faculty and students to do experiments in here that are controlled utilizing seawater. So you can manipulate the seawater rate, temperature, flow rate, you can manipulate light, and do all kinds of experiments with organisms in seawater, in captivity, within the confines of a building here. That is available to our undergraduate and graduate students and our faculty. All right, so now we're in the education wing. So here is where most of you as students would spend a lot of your time. So behind me are a number of classrooms and wet labs that support all the coursework that happens here, either in here in the building or also out in the field where you guys go out and then come back. The courses range from lower division courses to upper division courses. And some of the courses have a focus. So in the summer term, we have a number of short-term 4-week and 3-week courses in fisheries and wildlife, in biology, and in oceanography, and even incorporating some of the other colleges and departments. One of the courses that I want to highlight is the Coastal Ecology Resource Management course, which happens in the fall. This is this FW 426-526, where students come out and spend 10 weeks doing a research project, usually with one of these government agencies or on a project that is happening up or down the coast. That happens in the fall. The students present at the end of that fall term here in our main lobby, and the whole HMSC community comes out to look at those posters and give feedback to those students. Also point out that in the winter term, we started offering weekend courses for first and second year students to introduce them to the Marine Science Center. And those are overnight courses where they come out for a weekend for 1 credit. And those courses are in fisheries and wildlife, in biology, and we're looking at courses in other colleges and departments as well. And this again is introducing you, the student, to your Marine Science Center out here and all the different opportunities that are possible for you. Spring term, we have a single course that's 15 credits. It's a single 15 credit course, and that's our Marine Biology and Ecology course. It incorporates, at this time, a maximum of 28 students. And the students come out here, live out here, and spend the entire time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, focused on marine biology and ecology. And they do a series of mini experiments, learning how to run small experiments in different areas of invertebrate zoology, marine ecology, fishes, all these different areas. So all that is to say is students coming out here taking courses get a lot of field experience through these different courses. And through that, they come and utilize these classrooms and labs. So in here, we have a series of seawater tables, lighting for growing algae or macroalgae, obviously a lot of skeletons. So these skeletons are used for marine mammal courses. This is a chrysal. It is a special tank for keeping captive pelagic species like jellyfish. So one of the kind of unique things that our students get to experience is when we go out and look into the field, sometimes we are able to see some of these unique species that come really close to shore when we have some serious high tides of organisms that we don't typically see or are somewhat unusual or rare. So one of the things that we got to see this past year was a sea angel or a sea cherub. And so if you don't know what that is, you should check it out. It's very cool. But generally, yeah, this is where we have students go out through the back, get in a vehicle, go to a field site, do a collection, come right back, take off all their gear, and have their animals in these different water tables. And all the piping is to basically bring all of that seawater into these teaching labs. So one of the wonderful opportunities that our students get to have being out here at the Marine Science Center is being able to volunteer with some of our programs. So we have a visitor center volunteer program, and we also have a lot of students who volunteer with our K-12 Sea Grant Education program. And in that program, students get to try out adapting or applying their new knowledge to education for K-12 programs. And so in these other two wet labs that we have here, we have Oregon Sea Grant running their K-12 programs during the academic year as well as summer camps. And so they have live animals in here year-round that are resident, and that allows our students to handle, bring them out, work with K-12 visiting classes, and learn how to basically run a curriculum for K-12 students. So let's go over and check this out. So you can see right here, we have seawater tables that represent multiple habitats off of our coast. So here we have kind of an estuary mudflat area. In amongst this will be ghost shrimp, mud shrimp. And then we have more rocky intertidal species like the sea urchins. We've got a bunch of snails, mussels, sea anemones, barnacles, and then of course sea stars, larger green sea anemones here. Here in the Gwynn Library, we have a couple of different resources. So we have public computers over in the back area. We have our library staff in those offices. We have what we affectionately call the fishbowl, which is a big kind of conference room work area. We have several conference rooms over here. And then to your left, we have our fireside lounge and our research seminar room. And in that seminar room, we hear weekly, like most departments on main campus, weekly research seminars, from looking at ecotourism on the Oregon coast to looking at management practices of our natural resources to marine reserves to basic population dynamics research. So a lot of different areas of research that are presented in our seminar room. So one thing I want to leave everyone with is that we have a lot of different events that happen here on the Oregon coast and specifically here at the Hatfield Marine Science Center. One of the big events that we have every year is our Marine Science Day, which happens mid-April. And this is where all the different researchers with all of our different government agencies co-located here, as well as OSU researchers, the experiment station, all these folks are essentially pulling out all of the equipment that they use in doing their research, as well as showing you some of the visualizations of their research, and also talking about how they do their research. So it's really our big open house that happens in around mid-April. Our Marine Mammal Institute pulls out all the things that they do and share all the research that they do. And it's a great way for our students to engage with our researchers, our graduate students, and learn about what's happening here. A couple other events that happen here is in the spring term, I mentioned that our spring marine biology course, they do a student symposium at the end of spring term, and that's where they present 15-minute presentations of research projects that they've done. In the summer, at the end of every session, the students present their research findings based on projects in their course, as well as at the end of the summer, we have all of our summer interns, whether they're in our REU program, our Marine Studies Initiative, Oregon Sea Grant Scholars, or in an internship with any of our different government agencies like NOAA, EPA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and ODF&W, and USDA, are all presenting research projects that they've been working on all summer. And then the fall term, and this is especially true for our Fish and Wildlife, Coastal Ecology Resource Management students, they're presenting a 10-week research project in a poster format at the end of fall term. So I really want to encourage you to check out our website, look at our program calendar, and you'll see all these different events that are highlighted on our website at hmsc.oregonstate.edu. Thanks.